Max Verstappen has finally resolved one of the biggest questions hanging over Formula One in recent times. After long periods of intense speculation, rumors about a possible departure from Red Bull, and even confidential talks between Mercedes and his representatives, the four-time world champion has finally publicly announced his plans for 2026. And guess what? The decision may surprise many, especially those who were betting on a drastic change in the Dutch driver's professional career. For several weeks in a row, the Formula One environment was buzzing with speculation about where Verstappen would end up. Red Bull no longer shows the superiority it once had, McLaren has taken the lead in the championship, and Oscar Piastri maintains an 81-point lead over the current title holder. It seemed like the ideal context for Max to reflect on different horizons, right? Especially when George Russell revealed that Mercedes had been in talks with people close to the Dutchman. Toto Wolff, known for his public interest in the Dutch driver, was certainly not just cultivating cordial relationships. The scenario became even more delicate when information about the famous performance clauses in Verstappen's contract was disclosed. According to data circulating in the paddock, these contractual conditions could release him if he failed to finish in the top three during the mid-year break. And considering Max is currently in fourth place after the Belgian race, theoretically these circumstances have been met. Helmut Marko, Red Bull's advisor, even admitted that such clauses had expired, further intensifying the atmosphere of uncertainty. However, here comes the first big unexpected twist in this narrative. Verstappen not only confirmed his stay at Red Bull for 2026, but also revealed something that surprised many observers. According to him, there was never any real hesitation about this choice. Using his own words before the Hungarian race, he stated that the time had come to end all speculation because he had always been very transparent about his intention to stay. The statement was definitive, leaving no room for interpretation. But wait, because this statement raises an intriguing question. If Max was always sure he would stay, why did it take him so long to make it public? His answer is captivating and reveals a lot about his perspective as a competitor. Verstappen clarified that he had been focused on internal discussions with the team about ways to improve performance and concepts for the future, and for that reason did not consider it necessary to fuel external speculation. He emphasized that when a driver loses interest in continuing, he stops participating in these technical and strategic discussions, something he never abandoned. There is exceptional strategic logic behind this attitude. By maintaining the mystery, Verstappen not only preserved his privileged negotiating position within Red Bull, but also forced the team to truly commit to improvements and future investments. It is the kind of maneuver that only a driver of his stature can execute without damaging relationships. Max used the uncertainty as a tool for internal pressure, ensuring that Red Bull would not be satisfied with his presence. Now, let's examine the real consequences of this choice. With Verstappen confirmed at Red Bull for 2026, the entire dynamics of the driver market has changed completely. Mercedes needs to quickly establish the future of George Russell and Andrea Kimi Antonelli, who were in a kind of limbo until Max's decision. The Brackley team can finally stop fantasizing about the Dutchman and focus on developing a consistent project with the drivers available. But here lies the most fascinating aspect of this whole situation. 2026 will only be the inaugural year of the new Formula One technical regulations, and Verstappen has made it quite clear that speculation could return with full force in 2027. Interpretation: Max will use 2026 to analyze who has best adjusted to the new rules before making a final decision about his long-term future. It's a privileged observation strategy that few drivers have the luxury of implementing. This is an absolutely brilliant tactic. Verstappen is basically giving himself a year to observe how Red Bull, Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, and all the other teams behave under the new regulations. It's like having a privileged perspective from which to select the best project for the next few years of his career, when he will still be at his peak as a driver. At 27, Max has enough time to be selective about his next decisions. Verstappen's stance also demonstrates remarkable maturity in his professional approach. Even though he recognizes that his chances of winning the title in 2025 are virtually nil, he pointed out that it makes no sense to simply write off the season entirely. There are always valuable lessons to be learned that can be applied to future development, especially in engineering. This long-term view is typical of true champions. This mindset explains a lot about why Max became a four-time world champion so early in his career. He understands that every race, every test, every simulator session represents an opportunity for growth, even when the immediate results do not come as expected. It is the difference between a talented driver and a true champion. Verstappen does not waste experiences, even in the most challenging seasons. From Red Bull's point of view, keeping Verstappen is obviously crucial, but it also creates tremendous pressure. The team recognizes that it has only 1 year to prove that it can return to the top with the new regulations. If 2026 is a frustrating season, the chances of losing its greatest asset in 2027 increase dramatically. Christian Horner and the entire team leadership have certainly understood the message. For Mercedes, this confirmation symbolizes both relief and disappointment. On the one hand, they can finally stop speculating and focus on their own signings. On the other hand, they have lost the chance to try to persuade the best driver on the current grid to join the Brackley project. Toto Wolff will need to find other alternatives for his ambition for greatness. The timing of this statement is also relevant. Verstappen chose the Hungarian Grand Prix, a traditionally difficult race for Red Bull, to make this announcement. It is almost as if he were sending a message to the entire paddock. Even in difficult times, his loyalty to the team that led him to 4 world titles remains unshakable. The timing was not accidental. But let's be realistic about what this genuinely means for the future of Formula One. At 27, Verstappen still has at least a decade of his career ahead of him, and 2026 will be just another episode in that journey. The real question is not whether he will stay at Red Bull forever, but when and where he will eventually go. The driver market will continue to revolve around him. Max's statement also ends one of the biggest suspense stories in the current driver market, but it opens the door to new speculation. With Lewis Hamilton already at Ferrari and Verstappen confirmed at Red Bull, the transfer puzzle for the coming seasons is beginning to take shape. But there are still many important pieces to be put in place. The shuffling of positions is far from complete. Verstappen's decision symbolizes much more than a simple contract ratification. It is a demonstration of maturity, strategy, and dedication that not only defines his immediate future, but sets the standard for how he intends to manage his career in the coming years. Max Verstappen is not just an exceptional driver, he is a strategist who perfectly understands the political and commercial game of Formula One. What do you think of Verstappen's move? Do you believe he will really stay at Red Bull in the long term, or is this just a strategic pause before a bigger change? Share your opinions in the comments, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any news from the world of Formula One, and turn on notifications because we always have hot behind-the-scenes stories being published here. See you next time.